let me start off by telling everyone good morning. It is good to see y'all today on this Monday. Glad that everyone is here. We definitely got a lot going on today. As you see, we have our bell work on the board. Everybody should have your binders open. And today's date is 12/4. So in the top right-hand corner of your bell work, you should have today's date, and that is the 4th. And then also you should have the title. Today's title is MG number 57. So everybody should have that wrote down. There's a couple things that I need to do before we officially get started. The first thing that I would like to do is take roll. After I get roll taken care of, I will then go over today's agenda. And then after I go over the agenda, if y'all have any questions, I'll try to answer those then. Like I said, let me go ahead and get roll taken care of. So if you are here, please let me know when I call your name. Tessa,
Here.
Addison,
Here.
Amari,
Here.
Alexa,
Here.
Zoe, Ben,
Here.
Ciamara, Madison G,
Here.
Cody. Cody is not here today. Bryson G, Evan, Kareem,
Here.
Bryson K, Owen,
Here.
Irini, Leo. Leo's not here today. Christian.
Not here.
Christian's not here. Okay, we got 3 out already. Mallory, Angelo,
Yeah.
Blake, Alex, Jaden. Aiden's not here today. Madison R,
Here.
Tristan,
Here.
and Hadley. All right, y'all. So we got roll taken care of. Now let me go ahead and go over the agenda. After I go over the agenda, if y'all have any questions, I will answer those then. But for today, as y'all know, whenever we talked Friday, we started our new unit on Friday. So today, we're going to continue to practice, and we are going to continue to look at our learning target. Remember that our learning target is a solution of an equation is a value for the variable that makes the equation true. So that is what we are focusing on today, is equations with variables. And also it says an equation is true when the expressions or numbers on both sides of the equal sign have the same value. So that's what we are going to be continuing to look at, is solving for the variable, looking at equations. And it says that the I can statement, hopefully at the end of this unit, you will be able to say, I can identify equations and variables. Also, you should be able to say, I can use substitution to find solutions to equations. So that's what our main focus is going to be on today. And how we are going to be looking at that is the first thing we are going to do is our bell work. Once we get finished with our bell work, we are then going to be in our notes section. And so we are going to be looking at notes. We are going to be looking at different problems, practice problems, in which we are going to continue to look at the algorithms, look at the specific set of rules that you need to use when solving our equations today. After we get through with our bell work, like I said, we are going to do our notes. Once we get finished with our notes, today we also have our word wall test. So as y'all know how we've been doing our word wall bookets. Those bookets was in preparation to get you ready for the test, and that test is today. And so how we're going to do that is kind of like we do all of our other tests. Whenever you come back for third period, as soon as you come in for third period, we are then going to log on to Schoology. Schoology is where we're going to be taking our test for today. And so once you return, go ahead and log on to Schoology, and we are going to take our word wall test today. What I would also like to do is probably get in one last word wall booklet before we take our test, all right? Just to kind of give a refresher, a review from the weekend. And so that is what our agenda is going to look like today. Are there any questions about today's agenda? Kareem, I seen you had your hand raised earlier. You had a question?
The reason why I do that is because you said Friday was the last day.
I got you. Appreciate that. Appreciate it. Any other questions about today? Zoe?
Is it just like do we answer questions from the national board?
So on the word walk test, remember what you're doing is you're just kind of matching words. There's no work to be shown. It's just definitions and certain vocab terms that you have to match with the correct definition. Yes, ma'am. All right, Tessa, question. Your new RTI group, that is a great question. Let me talk with Ms. Takis and see. I think that, I know we have already formulated our new RTI groups. I just don't know if that information has been shared with us to share with y'all. Some of, all right, so maybe they have, but I'll double check that today, and then whenever y'all return for third period, I'll definitely let you know. All right. Any other questions about today's agenda? So y'all talk to me real quick. How'd the weekend go? Anybody have, somebody raise your hand. Anybody have any fun or exciting thing that happened over the weekend? Ben, what you got? Okay, Ben, if y'all remember, Ben mentioned before we left that he was going to the Titans game. And so I'm sure that was a fun game to go to. It went into overtime. And so I was checking it out. So that was I'm sure that was an exciting time for you. You had fun? Good. That's Angelo. Oh, you had a sleepover this weekend. All right. Sounds good. Zoe.
Hey, I had some with my cousins.
Okay.
And then whenever we came back, we found a baby newt in our pool.
Okay.
And then I was like,
Yeah. Did you end up keeping it or did y'all let it go?
we let it go. We didn't have anything like
I got you.
feed it or anything.
Man, I remember one time, whenever I was a kid, we had like this creek behind our house. And I would love just to go down there and like catch, we call them crayfish. But I think in the South, they're better known as like crawfish. But we would go down there and we would catch them. And there was this one time I lifted up a rock and it was like this huge bullfrog. And I ended up catching it. And I tried to take it to the local pet shop to sell, but they were closed. So I was like gonna take it the next morning. And when I went out there, somehow the frog escaped. Like we had a fenced in backyard, but somehow the frog like jumped out. So yeah, so I feel like it's kind of similar to, what'd you call it, a newt? Yeah. Sounds like a fun weekend.
It's called a red spotted newt.
Okay.
My mom also found like a bigger one a couple days ago.
Okay. So they're all around, huh? All right. Evan, what you got going on this weekend?
Nothing but about the crawl things.
Yeah.
I go to a summer camp each year and they call them crawdaddies.
Crawdads, yeah. Yep, I've heard that as well. Tristan, have you went to the Titans game too? Oh, dang. Dang, I bet that was real fun. Who was your favorite one that you got to meet and talk to?
I think it's a talk to him. I just got to see him.
Oh, I got you.
I get to know.
That's pretty neat. I was, one time I helped, I think I might have told, I don't think I did, but I helped like blow up the helmet that they run out of. I don't know if they still run out of a helmet, but a couple of years ago, so I got to stand in the tunnel too while the players were running out. That's a pretty cool experience. Bird. Georgia lost to Alabama this weekend. Are you happy about that, Valerie?
Yeah,
Let me change that grade right now. I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's what I've been telling people. It was weird this weekend. I had a weird feeling. Georgia lost, and that hadn't happened in a long time. I hadn't had that feeling.
I did one time with the Patriots.
Oh, really? Yeah, the Patriots, they went on a good winning streak. So yeah, Georgia, we finally lost, man. So that feeling was kind of strange to me, but it was a good game. It was a good game. Congratulations to all Alabama fans. Yeah, Georgia got kicked out of the playoffs. Yeah, but we got a couple more, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. Mallory. Okay. Talk to me. Did the cheerleaders? Did y'all do y'all's thing this weekend with the little cheer camp? How did that go?
It was good. It was a lot.
So y'all had fun.
Yeah.
we have one more. Uh-oh, I guess we have two, but we gotta make it quick. I'm sorry, Owen.
Saturday was the archery tournament, and so
This past Saturday?
yeah.
Okay.
3D I shot 11-10.
Okay.
That was almost half of my score, which was pretty good. And then I ended up shooting 244. Bullseye didn't go so well on the other hand, which I don't know what I shot though. And I don't know if we got first place yet. She didn't announce it. And how y'all were talking about the crawfish reminded me of in our front yard once. So we had this stump, and there's a cat that would always run to our house and come and see us. And then one time I go out and I see him attacking something, and it was a rat snake in our yard. And so we gave it, and then my dad pinned it down with a shovel. All we did was walk over to our neighbor's house and said, "Hey, can we put this in your backyard?" And he said, "Yeah, that's fine." And so we just put it back there and walked back slowly. But it did hiss at us whenever we released it.
Yeah, that's one thing I do not like.
Which shot my
Snakes. All right, and do we have one more? Is that it? All right, Amari, last one, and then we're gonna get started with our bell work. What you got, Amari?
I went to a cabin over the weekend.
You went where?
I went to a cabin.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. You went to Gatlinburg, didn't you?
And the bears got beat in.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. Were y'all taking pictures and videoing it while I was doing it?
No.
I bet. All right, y'all. Well, look, I'm glad that everybody is here today. Hope that everybody had a good weekend. It looks like and sounds like a lot of y'all had some fun, had a lot of fun and exciting things going on. But if you did not, I just want to let y'all know that I'm happy that y'all are here today. Glad that we are going to start this week off. There's a couple things that I would like for us to do before we get started with our field work. Let's go ahead. Let me make sure that it is working properly. Y'all know I got this dual screen going on now. I'm really trying to figure it out. Oh, that's right. All right, so let's check. Let's get our daily affirmations in for today. We don't have our bullet points coming up like this, so let's just make sure that we do them together as a class. So our first daily affirmation is,
I am smart.
Our second one,
I am awesome.
Our third,
I am good looking.
and our most important,
I am loved.
all right, y'all. I'm excited about today, excited about it being Monday. Glad that y'all are here, and I hope that y'all understand that all these statements are true about every single person that's in this room. All right, let's continue on. Striving for accuracy. Dr. Nix, if y'all didn't hear on the morning announcements, that is our word of the week. And so striving for accuracy is doing your best, setting high standards, and fact-checking and finding ways to improve. We're going to be talking more and more about that as we go throughout the week, but that is our word or words of the week, all right? Getting back to our bell work, problem number 1. Let me get my index cards out and see who's going to be answering problem number 1 for today. It is Miss Bird. All right, Miss Bird. It says in the equation x plus 12 equals 30. Does x equal 16? Explain your answer. All right, so what do you think, Miss Bird?
No.
Bird says that for number 1, the answer is no.
I agree.
All right, we got a couple that say they agree, but talk to me real quick, Bird. How did you come up with the answer no for problem number 1?
Because when you plug 16 where the x is, 16 plus 12 does not equal 30.
All right, I love it. So what method were you using right here, Bird? Substitution method, right? Wherever we see x equals 16, then we need to substitute x where, or we need to substitute 16 where the x is. So just like Bird said, you would put 16 plus 12. And then what is 16 plus 12, Bird? 28. So then, whenever we're looking, does 28 equal 30? It does not. And so therefore that is how Bird came to the correct answer of no. I really like question number 1 today because this is similar to what our unit is on. Alright? A couple of things that we need to look at. So this is substitution method where X, you can just plug it in. But Bird, if we didn't want to use substitution and we wanted to find out what does X equal, do you remember the correct steps? And we're going to talk more and more about this today. But Bird, do you remember the correct steps to solve for X? What is the first thing that we need to do? Raise your hand, or if you want somebody else to try to help out. All right, raise your hand if you think you know the first step. All right, Amari, what do we need to do? Isolate the variable, right? And we're going to talk more and more about that today. We need to isolate the variable. Amari, what does that even mean? What does it mean to isolate the variable? To get it by itself, right? To get it away from everything. But whenever we got to get it by itself, Amari, what do we need to get rid of? If we need to isolate this variable, get it by itself, what do we need to get rid of? The positive 12, right? Ben, you need to stay in your seat. All right, well, stay in your seat, dude. Plus 12, we need to get rid of that, right? So to isolate the variable, to get it by itself, we need to get rid of whatever beside it. Well, we have plus 12. Somebody raise your hand and tell me, how do we get rid of that? How do we get rid of the plus 12? What operation do we use? Amari, what you got? The inverse operation. So we only have a couple of hands going up, and that's okay for right now, but we need to make sure that we are focusing, make sure that we understand the correct algorithm. And Amari is doing an excellent job so far. First, he said we need to isolate the variable. So that means we need to get X by itself. Well, in order to do that, Amari said that we need to do the inverse operation. And what does that mean, Amari? What is the inverse? It's just the opposite. Excellent. So what is the opposite of adding 12, Amari? Subtract 12. So we're going to subtract 12. But remember, life's not fair, but math is. So whatever we do to this side of the equal sign, we have to be fair and do the same thing to the other side. So we're also going to subtract 12. Well, what happens right here, Amari? Well, what happens here? Positive 12 and negative 12. It cancels each other out. What does that leave us with? Just the X. Now, all we have to do is 30 minus 12. What is 30 minus 12? So, let's work it out. We got to borrow from there. That's 2. Carry the 1. 10 minus 2 is 8. 2 minus 1 is 1. So, therefore, X does equal 18. All right? Excellent job, Amari. Excellent job. So, let's go ahead and move on to problem number 2. Problem number 2 goes to Tessa. All right, Tessa, it says use the model to show 6 divided by 2/3. What is the solution to 6 divided by 2/3? All right, so this is what I'm going to do, Tessa. Every time we've had a problem like this, I've given you 2 options. You can either, it says use the model. And so eventually somebody is going to use this model. But Tessa, I'm going to give you the option. You can either use the model or you can just solve 6 divided by 2/3. What would you like to do? All right, so let's go ahead and get it then. 6 divided by 2/3. Talk to me real quick, Tessa. How do we approach solving this problem? Alright, so the first thing that we need to do is make sure that we put 6 over 1 so that now we are dividing fractions. And Tessa, what system do we use whenever we are dividing fractions? SIRS. Excellent. So we're going to do S-I-R-S. SIRS. So what does that first S tell us to do, Tessa? Keep the first fraction the same. What does the I tell us to do? The inverse operation. What is the inverse of division? Multiplication. Then what does the R tell us to do? The reciprocal. What is the reciprocal of 2/3? Yep, 3/2 or 3 over 2. And then the last S tells us to solve. And how do we solve multiplying fractions? We just multiply straight across. Excellent job, Tessa. And so 6 times 3, 18. And 1 times 2, 2. So now we have the answer of 18 over 2. Are we done there though, Tessa? We are not. What do we need to do? We need to simplify. So if we have 18 over 2, how can we simplify that? The answer would be 9 wholes, right? Because what is it telling us to do, Tessa? What is this line? What operation is that? Division. So you do exactly what it tells you to do, right? 18 divided by 2 is 9, right? But also, what if we were looking to find the greatest common factor? What could we divide both by? 2, right? 2 goes into 18 9 times, and 2 goes into 2, 1. So we would get 9 over 1, but that is also 9. All right? Any questions about problem number 2? All right, so let's do this. Somebody raise your hand and tell me, how can we use this model? How can we use this model to solve 6 divided by 2/3? All right, Madison G, what do you think? Okay. Perfect. If y'all didn't hear Madison G, she said that since it's 2/3 and it's broken up into thirds, we are just going to group them by 2s. And if we notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we have 6 that we are breaking up into 2/3. So let's do exactly what Madison G told us to do and group them by the 2s. So this would be 1. This would be 2. This would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So then, Madison G, what would our answer be? 9. Tessa, what did you get? 9. So and I'll tell y'all over and over, but that is why I love math, because there are several different ways that we can approach the same problem and still get the correct answer. And so you should have got 9 for problem number 2. All right, Zoe, let me get your hand up, please. Let's go ahead and look at our last problem of today, and that is problem number 3. Problem number 3 goes to, Madison G. All right, Madison G, since you just answered that one, let me go ahead and just get somebody different. Thank you for being willing to volunteer, though. Arini. All right, Arini, so it says, Arini, Carl says that he is 5 feet tall. His sister says he is 60 inches tall. Are these heights the same? Explain why they are or are not. So what do you think, Arini? Okay, Arini says that they are the same. How did you come to that answer, Arini? All right, so you said that 60 divided by 12, you said is 5. All right? And you are correct. 12 goes into 60 5 times. What is 5 times 12? 60. So you are correct. Well, but how do you know, where did you get this 12 from, Arini? It says that he is 5 feet tall and his sister says he's 60 inches tall. So I get the 12 and I get this, or I get the 60 and I get the 5, but where did the 12 come from? 12 inches equals 1 foot, right? And so therefore, excellent job to approach that, Arini. You took 60, you divided it by 12, and you realized that 5 is the answer. And so that 5 feet tall and 60 inches are exactly the same thing. So are these heights the same? Arini says that they are, all right? Excellent job with today's bell work. Are there any questions concerning today's bell work? All right. So this is what we are about to do. I need everybody to go to the notes section of today's bell work. In your notes sections, we are going to write down some practice problems. All right. So at this time, if you will, go ahead and go to the notes section and get ready to write down some problems that we are going to practice for today. All right, give me a second and I'll get that pulled up. Alex, you have a question? You can. It's up there in the back. Bird, question?
Can I get my water bottle?
You can. Yep. All right, here we go, y'all. Thank y'all for being patient. Let's go ahead and get ready. So, we are going to be looking at 2 different slides today. This is our first, all right? So, in your note section, I want you to write down this problem right here. D plus 9 equals 35. All right, everybody go ahead and write that down in your note section. D plus 9 equals 35. Question, Bryson? Yep, you can. All right, so everybody should have this wrote down. D plus 9 equals 35. All right, so look, we talked about this in the past already to where a lot of y'all are smart enough. A lot of y'all have the correct tools just to be able to look at this and figure out what the correct answer is. But what I want you to start working on is this algorithm, this set of rules that you need to know whenever you are solving an equation like this. And it's exactly what we talked about on today's bell work. So there are some steps that you need to understand how to properly communicate and use the correct terminology. So the first problem, D plus 9 equals 35. All right, let me call on the next student. All right, Cody's not here today. So then we go to Mallory. All right, Mallory. So our problem is D plus 9 equals 35. What we're trying to do is solve for D. We want to know, what does D equal? So, think back to our bell work this morning, Mallory. What is the first step that we need to do to solve this problem? Isolate the variable. All right, so look, I want everybody to write this in your notes off to the side. the first thing you need to do is isolate the variable. Everybody put that in your notes. That is your first step. You need to isolate the variable. Somebody raise your hand and remind me, what does isolate mean? Ben. Get it alone. Remember we used the example, if you're going to isolate yourself, you're just going to go to the corner by yourself. That's what we're doing with the variable. We need to get the variable by itself. And so Mallory is correct. We need to isolate the variable. All right? So Mallory, how do we isolate the variable? Perfect. So number 2 off to the side. You have to use the inverse operation. And Mallory, inverse. What does that mean? What does the inverse mean?
The opposite.
The opposite, exactly. So let me get fancy. I'm gonna use a little Christmas color since the dog's lost. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to use red and black that much, but you will see it again, I promise. But right now, we're gonna go Christmas theme. The inverse is just the opposite. To isolate means just to get it by itself. All right? So then, Mallory, if we're going to isolate the variable, and like you said, we need to use the inverse operation, what do we need to get rid of? The positive 9 or the plus 9, right? And so we got to use the inverse operation. So what is the inverse of adding 9? Subtracting 9. Excellent. But Mallory, what do we always say? That life's not fair, but math is. So whatever we do on this side of the equal sign, we have to be fair and do it over here. Excellent, Mallory. What happens to the positive 9 and negative 9? It cancels each other out, and now we can just bring down the variable. And everybody take a look. Alexa, did Mallory isolate the variable? Did she get it by itself? She did. Well, all we have now is D equals. But now we have to do 35 minus 9. And what is 35 minus 9? 26. So therefore, our answer is D equals 26. All right? Everybody should have that wrote down in their notes. I'm getting ready to come around and double check, make sure that you have this wrote down. Perfect. There you go. Excellent. 6. There you go. Perfect. 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 Good job, David. Excellent. 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 Good job, 1. 6. Perfect. Good job. All right, y'all. So that is example number 1. So whenever we're looking at this problem, Mallory, when it says D equals, all we got to do is just look and know that the correct answer, we already have it solved. So excellent job, Mallory. Any questions about problem number 1? God bless you. All right. So whenever we're looking at our steps, the first thing we do is isolate the variable. The second thing we do is to do that, we got to use the inverse operation. God bless you. And then number 3, we isolated the variable, we did the inverse operation, and then what was our next step? What can we put down for number 3? Somebody help me out. What do y'all think? Madison G? correct? So Madison G said, whatever you do over here, you have to do over here. So how can we write that down? How can we explain that in a good way? We could what?
The opposite.
All right, what do you think about that? Do the same to both sides of the equal sign. All right? So put that down also in your notes. All right, I'm going to leave that part up there, but then we're going to go ahead and move on to our next example problem. All right? This will probably be our last one before we get ready to go to second period. And so our next one goes to Ciamara. All right, Ciamara, talk to me. We have the problem. All right, I need everybody to write this problem down in your notes. 14n equals 35. Everybody write that down in your notes. 14n equals 35. All right, 14n equals 35. All right, Ciamara, talk to me and tell me, what is the first thing that we need to do when we are solving this problem? We have to isolate the variable. Ciamara, what does that mean? What does it mean to isolate the variable? We have to get it by itself. Excellent. And in order to do that, that means we need to get rid of whatever is next to the variable n. So what do we see that's next to the variable, Ciamara? 14. How do we get rid of the 14? The inverse operation. So, Ciamara, what operation is happening here? Multiplication. So look, I need all eyes up here. There's an imaginary dot in between 14 and n. And what does that dot tell us? Multiplication. 14 times n. So that is why Ciamara said we need to do the inverse operation. So Ciamara, what is the inverse or the opposite of multiplying by 14? Dividing by 14. All right? So what do we do next, Ciamara? We have to do the same to both sides, right? Math's not, or life's not fair, but math is, so we have to be fair. Whatever we do over here, we have to do over here. So we're also going to divide by 14. What happens here, Ciamara? So let's go ahead and write that down in our steps. So it cancels out. And what does that leave us with, Ciamara? That, well, whenever that cancels each other out, that just leaves us with the variable, right? And we did exactly what we wanted to do. We wanted to isolate the variable. Now, we do 35 divided by 14. And what is 35 divided by 14? All right, Ciamara, would you like somebody else to help you out with that? All right, and Hadley, what you got? 2.5. All right, and Hadley, how did you come up with that answer? 35 divided by 14, and you get 2.5. Yeah. So whenever we look at the answer choices, are they correct?
No.
Is that answer choice up there? Which it should be.
It's 2.4.
So in order, let's do this real quick. How can we double check our answer? Well, if n equals 2.5, remember in our bell work, what did you do, Bird? N equals 2.5. What would you do with that information? Just plug it in. So we would do 2.5 times 14. If that equals 35, then we are correct. So 14 times 2.5 equals 35. And so, therefore, 2.5 is the correct answer. All right? Any questions about problem number 2? All right, and remember, whenever you get back, we are going to do our word wall booklet and then do our word wall test. It is time for second period, so you are dismissed. Hope y'all have a good second period. I'll see y'all when y'all get back.